What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down every single defensive coverage look that you guys are going to see. So we're going to be talking about all the different types of press coverages, the routes you can run against those coverages. Then we're going to talk about off-man coverage and zone coverage. So we're going to cover different DB leverages, different DB positions, and how you guys can structure inside breaking routes and outside breaking routes. So I hope this video helps you guys out, but also, fellas, if you're a wide receiver and you want a daily training schedule with all the things you should do in the gym and on the field for the wide receiver position, check out that very first link in the description below for our ultimate 8-week wide receiver workout plan. It's a daily training schedule with the exact sets, reps, and examples of each exercise. So check that out below, fellas, if you're interested. Let's get started. So first situation here, this is kind of how we're going to break it down. I'm going to show you guys a leverage look from a DB, and we're going to talk about how this wide receiver goes about this route and how you guys should go about attacking this specific coverage. So we're going to start out with outside shade press, and we're going to start out with an inside breaking route. Then we'll get to an outside breaking route, and we'll do that for the rest of the coverages that we're going to discuss. So we have outside shade press. So Devontae Adams does a great job of attacking this DB's leverage when he has an inside breaking route. So that is what you would want to do. Anytime that it comes down to reading a DB's leverage, understanding a coverage, you have to know what his responsibilities are. So when he's outside shade, I'm going to play this again full speed. You see how Adams attacks him. He attacks his leverage because that is what he is trying to keep. You have to understand whatever leverage he is in, that is where he is trying to prevent you from going. So we're going to talk a little bit about inside leverage here in a second. Inside leverage, he's trying to prevent you from going inside. So how we can get this DB to move? Because everybody loves to talk about, oh, you got to move the DB off the platform. You got to get him to bite. How do I actually do that? So when he's outside leverage, I got to threaten him where he doesn't want me to go, to the outside. Now, this goes especially in press coverage with any route. Whether you are running a post route or whether you are running a corner route, a slant route, or maybe a 10-yard out, you have to threaten his leverage first because we need to try to get him to bite to the fade. Every single route comes down to selling fade, and this is a way you can do that. We need to sell the outside release fade by attacking him and squaring him up to attack his leverage. Now, when I attack his leverage off the line, it is very important that we sell. We are stepping outside of his frame. My upper body is threatening him to the outside because a disciplined DB is supposed to be watching where? He's supposed to be watching our hips. So we have to threaten him to the outside, get him to widen, and then I can take the inside release. And you see how Adams, when he does this, he swats the hand of the DB. We know when it's outside shade to get off of the release, to get a free release. We just have to be able to beat the inside arm when it comes to my hand technique. He pushes up vertical, gets nice and skinny, and is able to win on that inside breaking route. So fellas, anytime that I have an inside breaking route and it is outside shade press, I have to attack that leverage, try to widen him off the platform, and then go. The only reason this DB is outside shade in the first place is because why? He's got help to the inside. So some of you might ask, well, if he's outside shade press, why wouldn't I just go run to the inside? Just take what he gives me because he's got safety help to the inside. So that's exactly what he wants. He wants you to take off to the inside so he could get hands right on your hip, squeeze you inside, and then there's a safety here and a DB right here. That's a very tight window for the QB. But if you can attack him and you can widen him and then push back up vertical, maybe restack, get skinny, and break, now you've got a bigger window for your QB. Let's play this thing again, full speed. Great job by Adams getting into that leverage and then winning on that slant route. All right, so now, next clip, fellas, this is going to be a corner route versus outside shade press. So this is something a lot of people struggle with. Wide receivers love to think, or wide receiver coaches who don't know what they're talking about, love to talk about, if you're running an outside route, like an outside breaking route, you got to take an outside release. You cannot take an inside release on an outside breaking route. That is completely not true. The only time you ever have to take a specific release is if it's an MOR, which is a must outside release, and that's usually on a fade route. So let's play this full speed. So again, outside shade press, what's his responsibility? To protect the outside. He does not want to give up the corner, the 5-yard out, the 10-yard out, the comeback. So we have to make him think that I am running the post. So let's play at full speed. So he does a great job of attacking him, taking that inside release, stacking, and giving the QB space to throw him open. I cannot stress this enough, fellas. When it comes down to route running, your press release does not get you open. Maybe on a quick slant, maybe on like a 5-yard out, your press release can get you open. But if it's a route that's past 5 yards, your move at the top of the route or what you do at the top of the route is what will get you open. You have to take what the DB gives you to keep spacing and to mainly keep timing with your QB. Because what a lot of receivers will do is they'll get this outside shade look and they'll do this like hesitation slide. They try to square up this DB. They try to attack his midline. But fellas, why was he outside shade? To protect the outside. So we know this based off of the inside breaking route. When you had to run a route like a slant, what were you supposed to do? Attack his leverage so he'll widen so you can run the slant. Now we know because now we have an inside breaking route, what's going to happen if I try to attack his leverage? What's going to happen, let's put it this way. If I try to go outside and take an outside release, he's going to keep his leverage. And in this specific case, he's not going to give up the outside leverage. That's his sole responsibility. He has no help to the outside. So if you try to force the outside release, he's just going to get hands, widen you. And guess what? When this is the sideline and you break to the corner and you only have 2 yards with the DB right on your hip, that is an impossible throw for the QB. So this wide receiver does a hell of a job. He attacks him, not a whole lot, doesn't give too good of a move, I would say, to the outside, but he takes the inside release. Because now he knows dipping that shoulder, being able to restack and get this DB on his back hip is how when he makes that break point, the QB has space to throw him open. And that is so important on an outside breaking route. Now, some of you might ask, what if we don't restack? What if it doesn't go as planned? What if he's running straight up just hip to hip with me? What should I do? Well, you got to have a plan for that. You got to have a plan off the line, and you got to have a plan with your route. That's how all great route runners think. You hear Davante Adams talk a lot about, like he comes up to the line and he's got that Terminator mask on, if you will, where a list of 5 releases comes to his mind and he picks one and he's ready to roll. That's how you guys have to approach the game. But you also have to be ready to react. Because what if the DB plays it well? Because sometimes there are talented DBs out there. So what would you do if he's running hip to hip with you? You would take this left hand and you could put it on the back of his shoulder, back of his hip, and swat him by and slip underneath. And we're going to show some examples of that later. So fellas, you just got to have a plan. Top of the route is where we win versus any kind of leverage look. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Great job by Watkins here, taking the inside release, restacking, and giving that QB space to throw him open by not forcing the outside release against outside shade press. Fellas, we have to understand that this DB, a disciplined DB, will not give up his leverage. That is his sole purpose in life, is to take away that spot. All right, so now we have a little bit of a stance switch here from this wide receiver, but now we're going to be going over inside shade press. So this wide receiver is going to be running an outside breaking route. He's going to be running a 10-yard out versus inside shade press. So press coverage is pretty simple, fellas. It honestly always comes down to attacking the DB's leverage. Top of the route is where you can maybe get a little creative, and it kind of depends a little bit, but it always comes down to attacking his leverage. We know that he's inside leverage, by the way, too, because of the hash. So the hash is there. DB's lined up inside. QB is to the left side of the field. This receiver's just in a switch stance. So what do you think he should do right here? He should attack his leverage and take the outside release. So let's play at full speed. That's exactly what he does. He gives him this like kind of wide step move, breaks this thing right off, and is able to win on that out route. Let's play this again full speed. Now, when he attacks him, you see what that DB does. He jumps heavy to the inside. That is what gets us enough separation, or lets us get off the line in order to where we can create separation. Because again, he's inside shaded. So what's he trying to take away? The inside. He's trying to force you outside. Now, remember, let's think about this. When we had outside shade press, why was he outside shade? Yes, to take away the outside, but what did he have inside? He had safety help. So when he has safety help, he's trying to force you to his help. In this case, does this DB have help? Yes, the sideline is his help. So a lot of people will see this inside shade look and they'll think, oh, fantastic. I could just go take off and run my out route. I don't even have to worry about him. But guess what he's going to do? Get hands right into your hip, squeeze you outside, and just like that corner route that we talked about earlier, when the wide receiver will force the release, he's going to break on this out with only about a yard of space, and the QB cannot throw that, fellas. That is a pick six going the other way. He will not give you the ball. So we have to do something to work him off the platform. So again, very similar to the Davante Adams release. Stepping outside the frame. Hips and shoulders are selling the movement. This is the technical aspect of it that gets that DB to jump so we could push up vertical. Now, would I like to see him restack a little bit tighter? Yes, he kind of takes a little bit of a wide angle. And when he takes a wide angle, that gives the DB the angle to recover, especially if you were running an inside breaking route. But we're going to talk about that in a second, an inside breaking route versus inside shade press. But when he gets up to the break point, he's able to break this thing right off, give this single cut, and then accelerate out of the break to win. But again, fellas, I'd like him to get a little bit tighter so he could restack. But if this DB's playing it well, he does exactly what you want to do. You want to get into his cushion, maybe give him a little bit of a lean with your upper half, lean into his frame so we could break it off and go win on this out route. That is textbook right there. That's exactly how you want to play that release. Just maybe give me a little bit tighter of a restack. And how we can get a tighter restack, make sure that when I come off this thing, my pad level isn't up. I am dipping this shoulder. I'm ripping upfield to make sure that I'm getting skinny to put that DB on my back hip. Let's play it again full speed. This is a great job here by this wide receiver, getting separation against inside shade press and then breaking this thing right off. Okay, so now we got Adam Thielen here, and now he's going to be running a dig route versus inside shade press coverage. And the DB's maybe about like 2 to 3 off, maybe like 5 off. But again, fellas, you got to understand, right up on the line, 2 to 3 off, maybe 5 yards off, it's still press. Off man coverage is what we're going to be getting to next. And that's a totally different ball game because the DB is like 7 to 10 yards off. It's a totally different thing. We have totally different ways to attack it. So let's play this full speed. So inside shade press, whether it's inside or an outside breaking route, what do we have to do? You have to attack the DB's leverage. So let's play this full speed. So he attacks him, but look at the tightness on that restack that we had right there. That is what set him up to get over the top, was how tight and how skinny he was able to get. Very different than the last receiver we looked at. So when he goes here, he attacks that leverage. This is called a dive release. A dive release is where you pretty much just dive to the inside. He does a good job of threatening, stepping into his frame. Hips and shoulders are selling it. That's what can hold that DB to the inside. But now you watch when he pushes back up vertical, because everybody loves to ask, well, coach, what if this guy is right on my hip when I go to make this break? To make sure that doesn't happen, look at where Thielen goes after he makes this break. He goes right hip to hip with him. Hip to hip, and he is swatting those arms down so he can get back up vertical and get the leverage to restack. Because now when he restacks, we could do pretty much whatever we want with it. We could do a little, like maybe if it was an outside breaking route, we could peek back. Since it's an inside route, he could do this rocker step where he throws his hips and shoulders to the outside, get the DB to hesitate, whatever it is. But he has a plan at the top of the route. You have to take what the DB gives you. Because think about this, fellas. Imagine because he's running a dig route, and everybody loves to say, the guys that don't know what they're talking about, they love to say, oh, if it's an inside breaking route, you got to take the inside release. You should try to stem him, give him a fake outside, and then run the dig. But let's think about this for a second. Let's say Thielen's lined up right here, and on paper, he has a 10-yard dig, and let's say the other slot is over here, and he's running a 5-yard drag. Now imagine if Thielen, let's say the DB's here, imagine if Thielen tried to square him up, force the inside release, and then ran his dig. You see how the spacing is completely different on that version of the route? Because everybody can look good in one-on-ones, but can you look good when it's 11-on-11 full pads? That won't fly. You have to keep the spacing of the play. The spacing matters, fellas, to pull defenders, but also to set you up because they might be trying to pull defenders with another route. So take what the defense gives you. He attacks him inside instead of trying to force the inside. Take the outside release, and like we said, what will we do? It's very similar to that corner route when we have an outside shade press. If he's playing it well, Thielen would put that left hand right on his left shoulder or left hip and slip underneath to win. This is a textbook route right here by Adam Thielen. This is teach tape on how to run an inside breaking route versus inside shade press. Let's play this thing again, full speed. Great job attacking leverage, great job pushing vertical, and then giving that great move at the top of the route. All right. So now, fellas, we're going to get into off-man coverage. So we have off-man outside leverage, okay? So how do we know that it's outside shade? This isn't like a huge outside shade look, but you could tell because Cooper Kupp is lined up top of the numbers. This DB's right foot is on the bottom of the numbers. So he's shaded a little bit to the outside. The camera angle doesn't help. Now, Cooper Kupp is going to be running a 10 to 12-yard out. So if this DB is sitting right at about 8 yards, maybe 10 yards, and you have to run this 10 to 12-yard out, what do you think you would do based on what we know? Do you think you'd want to attack his leverage, or do you think you'd want to maybe threaten him to the inside? Probably want to threaten him to the inside because now that it's off man, things change a little bit. Things stay the same when it's a route away from the leverage, but things change when it's a route to the leverage. So let's play at full speed. So Cooper Kupp does a great job of attacking the inside shoulder, giving a head fake at the inside shoulder to give him space. So fellas, just like when we had outside shade press. Remember, so like let's say this is the wide receiver here, DB's outside shade, and you had to run like a corner. You needed to give the quarterback space to throw us open, right? So when it's outside shade off man coverage, we need to give the quarterback space to throw us open. So you see how this DB's lined up outside shade. Why is he outside shade? To prevent the outside route, and he also has safety help, right? Just now that he's a little bit deeper, doesn't mean anything really changes. It's still the same type of coverage concept. It's just he's a little bit further off. He's trying to take away a deeper outside breaking route. So when we have to run this in with this outside breaking route and out route, a corner, we want to attack this inside shoulder, because now I'm trying to get him to crash on the post so I could slip out. There is no need to attack him and then restack, because that would make my route too deep. He's sitting right at the depth of the route. He might be getting into his pedal, trying to be patient. So I have to make something happen at the top of the break. So Cooper Kupp decides to go with this like triple rocker step, where he goes 1 steps here, 2, 3, or excuse me. He goes here, 1 steps with the right foot, 2, 3. But you see, he is threatening the inside shoulder with a post. Maybe a couple times he's done just a regular rocker step and ran a post, where he runs up, he steps right foot, steps left foot, and then breaks on the post. So now he does it 1, 2, 3 at the top of the route, threatens the inside shoulder, gets the DB to hesitate, but meanwhile, he kept spacing. That is what we want to do, fellas. So many guys, when they get this look, what they'll do is they try to stem. They try to attack this DB's midline, try to get him to backpedal straight up. Fellas, when you attack a DB's leverage, what do you think he's going to do? He's going to keep his leverage, because that's his responsibility. So you have to make sure we know how to beat this off-man coverage look when we have a route to the leverage. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Great job by Kupp attacking the inside shoulder, giving that triple rocker step, and then winning on that out. Okay, so now this is like kind of a, I would say it's more like kind of like a bail concept here, I guess you can say. But the DB is outside shade and he's off maybe about 5. And Taylor Gabriel's running a post route here. So what would you do? Remember, it's off man, outside shade. This may be more similar to like a zone coverage concept. I don't know exactly what they're running here, but we can all agree that he's outside leverage. And it's all the exact same thing. So when he's here and his eyes are maybe on me, watching my hips, watching my body, and I have a post route, but he's outside shade. Does he have help to the inside when he's outside shade? Yes, he has help to the inside. He wants us to run to the inside and just go, because that's where his help is. He's trying to force us to his help. So what I need to do as a wide receiver is, where do I want to threaten this DB? To his leverage. So let's play this full speed. So this wide receiver, Taylor Gabriel, does a great job of using this like rocker step, getting that DB to sit outside, and you see the safety coming over the top. Imagine if we didn't do that post fake, or imagine if we didn't do that out route fake. That DB would be right on my hip, and that safety would be right there. We need to make a bigger window for the quarterback. So it's no different. This is no different than when you would have maybe outside shade press, and you'd have to run an outside route. Take what he gives you, but like at the break point, you need to get into his cushion a little bit. You need to lean into him. Maybe we restack, but we need something to create space from that safety. So let's watch it here. So he comes up. He does this hard step to the inside. When a DB's watching your hips and you sell this much with your hips, you're actually stepping into his frame. Whether he tripped or not, fellas, that's not a flag. If you accidentally step on him, they're not going to throw a flag. So you're getting into his cushion, because now looks what happens. It's a much bigger window. If this DB was right on your hip and that quarterback threw the ball and slowed you down a little bit, DB could make a play. But now he can't. Now you can just put it on him. That's an easy throw for the QB. I don't got to lead you. I don't got to throw you into this safety. That is textbook of how you want to run an inside breaking route versus outside shade off man. You attack his leverage. You threaten him to his leverage, because everybody knows that DB's responsibility is to hold that leverage. Don't let anybody get outside of you. So let's threaten him where he doesn't want me to go, so I could create a bigger window on this post. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Great job by Gabriel coming off the ball here, attacking that leverage and creating a bigger window for that QB to throw the ball. All right, so now we're going to be talking about inside shade off man coverage. So this is something that a lot of people struggle with here, and this is going to be an inside breaking route. This is a dig route, I believe, but it could also apply to a post. It could also apply to a curl versus inside shade off man. So again, it is just like press. Why is he inside shade? To prevent the inside. So he does not want you to run the dig. He does not want you to run the post. So he's trying to force you where? Sideline. because that is his help. That's like his extra defender on the field, the sideline. So let's play at full speed. So what does Jerry Jeudy decide to do here? He attacks the outside shoulder. So it is no different, fellas. It is no different than when we had to run that out route versus outside shade. It's just flipped. You got to understand when it's a route to the leverage, an inside route versus inside off man coverage, or an outside route versus outside off man coverage. It's about attacking a specific shoulder of the DB, splitting him in half. When it's a route away from the leverage, you want to attack his leverage to get him to widen, to create a bigger window for yourself. So what he does here, a lot of guys, what they would try to do is what? They would try to stem. They would try to stem to the inside, attack him, and square him up, quote unquote. Guess what this guy would do? He'd weave to the inside. Now, maybe you could stem him and then work to the outside shoulder. That might work. And I'm not saying that's wrong. This is just what Jerry Jeudy does. I feel like this is an easier way to do it, but you feel free if you want to get creative and maybe stem it first and then go outside. So he goes right at the outside shoulder, full speed, running in full stride, keeping a good pad level, running with speed. Everything about this, especially in this situation when it's inside shade, has to say fade. You have to say I am trying to run right past you and I'm trying to beat you over the top with my body language, with my stride, and with my speed. And that's exactly what Jeudy does here. He gets that DB to flip and open up the gate solely because when he is watching his hips and he can feel that speed, that will really get that DB to turn. And he's able to cut right on a dime and break right on that dig route. That is textbook of what you want to do. So fellas, just know this. When you have an inside breaking route against inside shade off man, he's sitting right at the depth or maybe he's backpedaling. Let's go at that outside shoulder. Let's try to force him to open up so I have some spacing and room on this coverage. Because again, you see here, we have this defender coming across the field, like running this drag situation here. Or we have this wide receiver running, like let's say for example, you're running a dig and let's say the slot receiver's maybe running like a whip route. But let's say you try to stem this DB to the inside and then he weaves and your dig route is right into the window of this whip route. We can't have that, fellas. We need to have spacing on the play. We cannot screw up spacing on the play because we are trying to stem against the wrong leverage look. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time, and then we will talk about an outside breaking route versus inside shade off man coverage. So you see how Chase Claypool right here uses this rocker step on the out and he stems to the inside. This is what I was talking about when you guys are running that post route or that dig route that we were just looking at. He stems. He attacks the DB's leverage, threatens the leverage because we know that's going to make him jump and that will give me more space. So inside shade off man, he stems. We want to attack something called the midline of the DB. That is, you want to pretend like there's a line that goes down the middle of his frame. And we were trying to threaten him where? Where he doesn't want me to go. He's inside shade, so he doesn't want me to go inside. So that's where I'm going to try to threaten him. Now, this DB, I feel played it bad because I feel like with our stem right here, we could give a fake outside and run a post because this DB just started to backpedal. He should not backpedal. He should stay patient and weave to the inside to take away that inside route. Because this is why some guys will attack inside, because if you stem inside and that DB weaves, then okay, I could push up to his outside shoulder. If I stem inside and he backpedals, I could just take it. So that's why some guys will stem on the inside route, but that cannot be your only plan of action, because what if the DB plays it well? Then we're screwed because we didn't understand how to attack a shoulder. But when it's an outside breaking route against inside shade off man, let's attack that leverage. Let's threaten his leverage because now guess what? I got a much bigger window to the sideline when the QB is throwing me an out route. And he needs space on any outside route, a fade route. I would consider that an outside route, a corner, an out route, a comeback. That QB needs space to be able to throw us open. And if we cut that space down, trust me, fellas, from a guy who played the position, we will not give you the ball. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Great job by Claypool attacking DB's leverage and threatening to the inside to widen him and get space. All right, last coverage we're going to be talking about is this zone coverage concept. So we have this DB who's here at 5, and he's kind of like a press bail situation. So we know it's zone because of his eyes. So his eyes are to the inside and he's facing the QB. Because there are times, right, where zone can look a lot like off man. And honest to God, I think that, when it comes to your routes, it's really not that different when it comes to zone versus off man in terms of what we do. Obviously, the coverage is different, but in terms of how I structure my route, not much changes. So let's play this full speed. So he's running a comeback. So this is an outside breaking route against zone coverage, outside shade. So let's play at full speed. So he goes here, and you see how he attacks the inside shoulder, then blind spot, and then breaks it off. Now, I want you to see how when he goes to the blind spot of this DB, how little space he has to the sideline. And when he has to catch that ball, it is a toe tap catch. Now, imagine if he ran just straight to the blind spot. Off the line, he just ran straight here. Just like off man coverage, when that DB's outside shade, in any coverage, what is he trying to protect? The outside. He doesn't want to give up the fade. He doesn't want to let you do anything. He wants to force you to the inside because that's where his safety help is. So a lot of people automatically think when a DB is in zone, eyes to the inside, that we have to attack blind spot. That's everybody's favorite thing to say. They'll say, oh, I'm going blind spot. I'm attacking blind spot. Not when it's an outside breaking route right away. You can do it at the end like how Amari Cooper did. I'm going to talk about a different way to do it, but we can't go there right away. Because if this DB just weaves and he keeps going and we're forcing blind spot and you break off on a comeback, we might get separation, but there ain't much room. And if that quarterback's out of rhythm with his feet even a little bit, that DB's got all the time in the world to recover. So Cooper, what he does here is he attacks the inside shoulder. He pushes vertical, get that DB to open up his hips a little bit. But now when I push to that blind spot, I'm only maybe about a yard or two from the break point. I can afford to get to that blind spot. I can afford to sell the fade a little bit. So now I have at least some kind of space for that QB to throw me open and to throw me downhill. On a comeback, on an out route, on a corner route, we are putting it to a spot as a QB. I'm trying to throw you away. As soon as you break, I'm trying to throw it away from the break. On a comeback, I'm trying to put it low and away. On an out route, I'm trying to put it outside. I'm trying to throw you away from the defender. But if I don't give him space, that defender's got plenty of time to recover. So that's textbook right there from Amari Cooper. Now, could you, in theory, just push it the inside shoulder, get that DB to flip, and then slip under? Absolutely. If you're running a 10-yard out, that's what I would want you to do. I'd want you to go at the inside shoulder, self-fade hard, get that DB to open up, and then bam, we break underneath. But it's about understanding that outside shade zone and outside shade off man are fairly similar coverages. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time, then we'll talk about one more route where it's an inside breaking route versus this outside leverage zone coverage. Great job by Amari Cooper running that comeback route. All right, so same type of press bail, outside shade, but he's running a post route. So remember, what does he have inside? He's got help. So when we have a route like a post, it's so easy against zone for receivers to just take off and go run. Dude, you're going to go right into the safety. That's how he's just going to force you all the way to the safety. That's his job. The quarterback's got to be crazy accurate. We want to make it easy on the QB. It's about being a quarterback-friendly wide receiver. So let's watch what A.J. Brown does right here. He comes off the ball, and he attacks blind spot. He threatens blind spot. That is when you want to go to the blind spot, when you have an inside breaking route. Because remember, it's no different than off man. Because remember, we watched that post route versus off man coverage a little while ago, right, with Taylor Gabriel. And what did he do? He stepped at that DB. He threatened his leverage. He widened him, created a bigger window. So when it's zone, what do you think I want to do? I want to threaten that leverage. I want to step to that blind spot. I actually want to make a hard cut to that blind spot because now maybe this DB will hesitate, and that's all I need. All I need, especially in the NFL, because everybody's so dang fast and one little mistake makes a huge difference, I just need him to hesitate one time. And when he can hesitate, that's an easy win, and that's a much bigger window than what I would have had if I just ran. So fellas, press bail or zone, outside shade, you have to run that inside route. Let's threaten that blind spot. Let's threaten his leverage, and let's create a bigger window for my quarterback. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Great job by A.J. Brown attacking the blind spot of this DB and threatening him with that fade so he can get more separation. All right, fellas, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys stuck it out through the whole video, I appreciate this a ton. I'm glad you guys are getting some value out of the content. We like making these longer, more in-depth videos for you guys. But also, fellas, if you're a wide receiver and you want to know a daily training schedule you should do in the gym and on the field to improve your skills, check out that very first link in the description below for our ultimate 8-week wide receiver workout plan. I'll see you guys next time.